Hi friends, welcome back to Lobematics. This lecture is on cerebrum lobes and their functions. Our brain has three major parts. They are cerebrum, cerebellum and brainstem. Cerebrum is the largest part of brain. It controls the sensory perception and voluntary motor activity, and also it controls the memory and consciousness. Cerebellum. It located at the inferior to the cerebrum and at the back of head. It controls the balance and coordination of movement and fine-tuning of motor activity. Brainstem, it located at the base of brain and it controls the respiration and various basic reflexes like swallowing reflex and gag reflex. It regulates the blood pressure, bladder control, swallowing, sleep cycle and temperature. Now the cerebrum lobes. Our brain has two hemispheres. Each of the hemispheres has been divided into four lobes. They are frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe and occipital lobe. These lobes are separated by sulcus. Major landmark in the brain is central sulcus and lateral sulcus. Frontal lobe. It located anterior to the central sulcus, which means anterior portion of cerebrum. It controls the voluntary motor function and it is the center for thinking, planning, problem solving, decision making and behavior. It regulates the mental activity and physical activity, right? So it is called as motor cortex. It has motor speech area. So it is helpful to the speech, and conjugate eye movement, which means if we see an object means both eyes are turned in the same direction, right? That is conjugate eye movement. It is associated with emotion, motivation and memory. Parietal lobe, it is located posterior to the central sulcus and at the top of head. If we want to take a book or something means, first the sensory impulse reaches the brain and the signal is interpreted and we move the hand and take the object. The movement is motor activity. So the sensation is regulated by parietal lobe and the movement is regulated by frontal lobe. Cutaneous sensation, that is skin sensation, and kinesthetic sensation, that is the joint sensation like touch, stretch, pressure, temperature, movement and pain, these are regulated by parietal lobe. It regulates the somatosensory activity, right? So it is also called as sensory cortex, and it controls the reflex movement of eyeball, which means if we turn the head means our eye also move to the same direction, that is reflex eye movement. Parietal lobe, it is separated from frontal and parietal lobe by the lateral sulcus and it located at the lateral portion of cerebrum. It is associated with hearing. It is located lateral side, right? So our ear is near to the temporal lobe. So it is helpful for the hearing, learning, visual memory, language, feeling, smell, and it is responsible for the creativity and long-term memory. So the temporal lobe is also called as auditory cortex. Occipital lobe, it is located at the posterior portion of cerebrum and it receives the input from the eye and it interprets. So it is also called as visual cortex. Frontal lobe, it is a motor cortex. Temporal lobe, it is the auditory cortex. Parietal lobe, it is a somatosensory cortex. And occipital lobe is a visual cortex area. Question time. Temporal lobe is also called as auditory cortex. Sensory cortex is parietal lobe. Thank you.